Bitcoin up and down usually, but up and up. Lately, up 22%. In fact, what's behind that?
Yeah, Pete. I think there are a multiple number of factors. I think that Bitcoin and gold are sort of behaving similarly to some extent, but Bitcoin is really outpacing gold. We often buy gold when we think inflation's coming or there's economic uncertainty. Now, we know there's basically a massive boom sort of baked into the economies of the world, because you look at the stimulus program that Joe Biden's introduced in the US, and they're thinking that the US could grow by 7% this year as a consequence of that. Now, that means that, that uncertainty has also pushed the bond market to start raising interest rates as well, and that is linked to inflation. And so that's good for Bitcoin. But you've also seen companies like Tesla. Tesla's bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, has actually said they'll accept Bitcoin when they sell their Tesla cars. And on top of that, you've got MasterCard accepting some cryptocurrencies, as well as PayPal and a number of other well-known US institutions. So it's getting increasing acceptance. And, there are experts out there, Pete, tipping $100,000 this year for Bitcoin. But, of course, they tend to be speculators who are actually holding Bitcoin. So this is either going to be an acceptable currency of the future when central banks say yes to it or not. I don't think they will in the short term. But this could be a bubble as well. We're going to see it come off the boil again. But the fact that institutions are supporting it is a much different from the last time we hit 20,000 and fell to 4,000 overnight virtually.
Do you see it ever going back to, $4,000 or $5,000 as it was at the end of last year, Pete, Bitcoin? Or?
Well, look, if a panic sell-off happens, yeah, it will. But if a panic sell, if it's basically just pulls back on acceptable reasons, like low inflation and gold falls as well. But Pete, it's just so risky. I just cannot manage or give any advice when it comes to this sort of thing. It's just an unbelievable speculative play.
Hey, what about tech stocks? They've taken a dive lately, in particular Afterpay, Zip, which we've spoken about a fair bit over the past few months. Pete, what do you make of the buy now, pay later sector? Is it over? Just like, or too inconsistent, just on the same path as Bitcoin?
Well, I think all tech stocks have recently gone for massive rises. And what we're seeing now is, and look, Shane Elliott, the boss of ANZ, he was making a point recently that the buy now, pay later area is actually here forever, and it will digitally just disrupt the banking sector. But he also thinks that he's a bit surprised that the people who use Afterpay and Zip and the like don't have credit checks. I think Zip actually does have credit checks, Afterpay doesn't. But he was saying that credit cards aren't going to go away anytime soon. But I do believe, given the fact that PayPal is now getting into the buy now, pay later space, I think these companies are here forever. And like all tech stocks, Pete, they've gone for this massive boost because of the stay-at-home period in 2020. But now we're moving into 2021, and a rotation's going on. And so a lot of the big fund managers who've made big money out of Zip and Afterpay and Tesla and all them, they're selling off to take their profit to move into the other sectors. The other sectors being energy and financials, and these are the companies or the sectors that will benefit from the boom that's going to happen in 2021. So I think a lot of tech stocks will pull back, but they'll come again. I'll give you one example. Kogan was a stock that no one actually was interested in until stay at home. His stock boomed over the stay at home. Now it's come off the boil, but he's created customers he's never had before. And I think that's what we'll see. That companies like that will grow up on the basis that they've now created a new base of customers and life has changed for them. But that boom during the stay-at-home phase was an excessive boom, which has now just come off the boil.